Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel Smith, and I did my language research project over the language Somali. So basic background of Somali. So Somali belongs to the Cushitic branch of the Afro-Asiatic language family, and it is closest related to the language Oromo. Now, Somali belongs to Somalia, which is located in Eastern Africa. Somali has been the national language of Somalia since 1972, and in Somalia, 6.5 million people speak Somali. The estimated number of speakers of Somali worldwide is around 15 million. Now, that estimation was used in 2015, so the number has more than likely risen. Most of that 15 million more than likely reside in Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Kenya, which are all along the border of Somalia. In Somalia, Somali is taught in education and used in administration and in media. So there's actually has been TV shows and radio stations that have been aired in Somali. More basic background. Somali is divided into three main dialects. There's the Common Standard Somali, and this one is the most widely used and is the most understandable one. It's common throughout all of Somalia and everywhere else that most people speak. This is the one that they usually learn and speak. Then there's the Benadir. This dialect is used in the coastal area of Benadir as well as in the capital of Mogadishu. Now, the speakers of Benadir can easily understand Standard Somali, and I'm sure it's vice versa as well with that. The third one is Af Ashraf. This dialect is a very distinct variety that speakers of Standard Somali are not able to fully understand. It has just changed so much and is just so much of a unique version of Somali that the ones that speak Standard Somali just cannot understand it. Here is a chart of the prevalence of Somali in the U.S. And although it doesn't say the actual percentage for Somali per se, like I had said before, Somali is part of the Afro-Asiatic family. And here is a chart that shows, right here, that Afro-Asiatic is 0.2% used in households around the U.S., which comes out to be about 470,000. Now, these numbers could have risen, could have lowered. It is just an estimation, of course, but this is the chart that shows that. And like I said, it's of the Afro-Asiatic, and so for more closely for Somali, that number is even lower. The linguistic structure. So Somali only has 5 vowel phonemes, and compared to English's 12, that is very few. The exact number can differ from dialect to dialect, but still nowhere near the amount that English has. The length of the vowels is what makes a difference in the meaning of the words, which goes along with mostly every language, but especially for this language because it only has those 5 vowels. Or 5 vowel phonemes. So, depending on how short or long they are spoken, words that look and is spelled almost exactly the same can mean two totally different things because of the pronunciation of certain vowels. Somali has 24 consonants, and this is actually over the amount that English has, which is only 21. Now, Somali does not have the consonants P, V, or Z. These have actually been used in Somali, but from outside people that speak different other languages that somehow kind of incorporate a little bit here and there because they still haven't fully been able to learn Somali, the actual form of Somali. Somali uses many velar, uvular, pharyngeal, and glottal consonants. And all of these sounds are produced at the back of the oral cavity, so most of the words that they use come from that place. one of the websites that is referenced actually has a chart that shows the whole bilabial and labial chart that we had looked at for English. It actually has that chart there for Somali on one of the websites that I have referenced, and I'll talk more on that whenever I get to the references page. So in Somali, the word order for a sentence goes subject, object, verb, which is different from English, which goes subject, verb, object. They switch the object and the verb. For Somali, there are markers that bring focus on different parts of a sentence depending on which marker you use. To bring focus to the noun or noun phrases of a sentence, you would use ba, aya, or waksa. Actually, that's a little bit of a mess up. You'd use ba, aya, or waksa, yeah. But I'll get to it in a second. So, an example would be Jamal ba baksay. This translates to Jamal went out. The focus is brought onto Jamal, the person Jamal. Now, the other markers would bring focus to the verb of the sentence. And so an example of that would be Waksa baksay Jamal. This translates to went out Jamal. Now, yes, in English, when it's translated to English, it doesn't really make sense grammatically, but the reason for this is because it's bringing focus onto the action that Jamal did. So it's bringing focus onto the fact that he went out, not that he is Jamal, but that he went out. Writing system, or the orthography. So Somali did not become a written language until January of 1973, whenever the Latin alphabet was named the national script for Somalia, or the official script for Somalia. So Somalia has been through many different scripts, and the current official script, like I said, is the Latin alphabet. The first script that was used was the Wadad's writing, which was an Arabic-based script. The second one was Barama Gadabursi, which was only used by a small group of people in Barama. It was the guy that made this, I can't remember his name, but the person who made this script, only him and a few of his closest associates who stayed in Barama used this language, or this script. The third was the Osmania. Now, this script was also known as the Somali writing. So it was very, very prominent in Somalia for a while. Now, then it finally came down to what is now the current official one, the Latin-based alphabet. And like I said, it was put in 1973 as the official script. So, sociocultural usage. What I did for this was I went through and looked at the communication styles for Somali, or Somali people, the verbal and nonverbal. For the verbal, the Somali people tend to be very direct when they're talking, unless they are trying to deliver some sort of criticism or helpful hint that they think will offend you, and they want to try and avoid that as much as possible, which is how most people are, except for people that just obviously don't care. Now, their volume levels differ between genders. And the thing is that with Somali people, all Somali people are generally very loud. They are just very loud speakers, especially the males. Males are usually expected to speak up and be loud, while the females are usually more quiet and reserved. Swearing or cursing is considered very inappropriate in any sort of setting or situation in Somalia. People that actually hear you swear or curse, hearing you say that one curse word can actually change a Somali's person viewpoint of you completely. That's how just inappropriate they find swearing. It's just thought to be very uncivilized in Somalia. So for nonverbal communication, Somali people are generally comfortable hugging and touching friends of the same gender, but physical contact between two people of opposite gender is considered very inappropriate in Somalia. Now back to the people of same gender. In Somalia, people of the same gender, they are so close and they are so comfortable that two people of the same gender, like say it's two males, that they are of equal footing. Neither of them are above the other. They're just equal footing friends. They would sit on a couch side by side, basically snuggled up against each other, just fine. That's how comfortable they are with each other. Now, of course, like with opposite genders, they have to have a certain enough space between, because again, touching of opposite genders is inappropriate, not allowed. It's a no-no. And now, all of Somalia's people, their personal space is a lot smaller than how ours are over here. Over here, we're used to kind of like an arm's length away, if not maybe a little bit more. In Somalia, they get up close and personal with you, That's just how they are. And they are very animated people. Somali people are very, very animated people. They will use very big hand and arm gestures to emphasize what they are talking about in any sort of conversation. And their facial expressions just show every emotion that they are feeling, because that's just how animated they are. Another thing that I had read up on was that, and this is in some other regions as well across the world, but here in Somalia, it is common knowledge not to use your left hand for waving at people, shaking hands, handing things over to people, because in Somalia your left hand is used for hygiene situations. So it is thought to be more unclean than your right. And so that's why in Somalia you do not use your right hand to touch someone, shake someone's hand, wave at someone, none of that. And another thing is, when you're trying to wave someone over, don't use one finger. It is very offensive if you just use one finger to call someone over. You use your whole hand to motion for that person to come over to you. Here's my references page. And the one that I was talking about that has the charts, that is the mustgo.com, the one at the very bottom. Those charts are very helpful, very interesting. All of these references are very, very interesting. I got a lot of information from all of them. It was very fun and interesting to read about the Somali language. It really was. I was not expecting it to be as interesting as it was, to go through each of these websites and just find out all these new and different facts about this language that's just so much different than ours, Because for me, I've only known English. I mean, I've learned a little bit of Spanish here and there, but nothing major, nothing like this, Not to be able to speak it even somewhat fluently. And so to be able to sit there and read up on another language that I've never really thought about or anything like that was really interesting to me, to see their social constructs and how they just go about daily life and all that kind of stuff, how much different it is than here. And so I really hope that y'all enjoyed this presentation, and if y'all do go through the websites, I hope that y'all also find the information pretty interesting. And thank you for watching my presentation. Thank you and have a good day.